Dela's Voice has been made possible by the generosity of sponsors like you. What makes live shows so special is that interaction between the viewer and the host and the guest, whether it's through the chat or the live phone calls. This connection is created because people are allowed to share their experiences, their feelings, their thoughts, and this makes for a beautiful dynamic of energy that's connecting people in so many different ways. And that's how we learn. That's the best way we can help one another, is by connecting at such deep levels. This is Dela Fotoohi, the host of Dela's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Hello, and welcome to another Dela's Voice. I haven't been live for a while, and I think I owe you a little bit of an explanation. As a lot of you know, there's been a lot of unrest in my home country of Iran. And for the past month, almost a month, Iranian people have started protesting on the streets of Iran. They have had enough. They are wanting an end to the 44-year tyranny of the Iranian government. And a lot of people around the world are showing solidarity by being on the streets all over the world and wanting a change in the regime of Iran. I shaved my head in solidarity with the women of Iran who are protesting against compulsory hijab and their rights to freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom to dress the way they want, and plain and simple, they want an end to the Islamic regime of Iran. Thank you so much for all your support and all the messages and all the solidarity you've been showing me throughout the past few weeks. And with the unrest that all of us are feeling right now in this time, I thought that tonight's guest is going to help us all a lot. Many of us have trouble sleeping because of all the worries, because of all the fear, the anxiety. A lot of you have family back in Iran and are constantly checking your social media for updates on what's going on back in Iran. And so when there's unrest somewhere in the world, the rest of us as human beings feel the pain. And so it's normal not to be able to get a good night's rest. And we all know That's really important for our health and wellness, mental health and physical health. Um, they all need we all need a good night's sleep to be whole. So, tonight's guest is going to help us a lot. I implore you to leave us messages in the chat and send us your questions because this is your chance to speak to someone who is an expert, a specialist, a scientist in the topic of sleep. So, send us your messages. Um, we've worked really hard to get this guest on the show. She lives in Australia, so we've had to change the time of the show so that we can get her on. So, all the way from Australia, which is 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday now, and it's 8 p.m. On Sunday in Toronto. Thanksgiving to my Canadian viewers, by the way. It is Canadian Thanksgiving. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a little bit about my beautiful guest, Sveti Williams. She is the author of Fix My Sleep. And she is, so Fix My Sleep, The Sleepy Sheep, and the Droopy-eyed Donkey Who Couldn't Sleep. We're going to hear all about that. And official delegate of World Sleep Day, member of Australasian Sleep Association, Tempur brand ambassador. She's also a sleep scientist, renowned sleep coach, leading sleep advocate, and international award winner who helps clients to target sleep disruptors and replace them with sleep enhancing behaviors. Sveti has obtained a bachelor's degree in complementary medicine and a postgraduate in adult sleep science in Australia. She's a certified yoga teacher, a kinesiologist, and founder of Sleep Academy Online. She engages with subconscious psychology to identify and resolve the root causes of insomnia and other symptoms of people's physical and emotional struggles. Sveti's clients around the world experience her as intelligent, genuine, and passionate, a natural healer. She works on complementary medicine, and her teachings, along with the complementary medicine, cover both scientific and spiritual, proving a holistic approach to sleep health. She was born in a small village in one of the poorest countries of Europe, and she spent much of her childhood observing her great grandmother preparing herbal tinctures, teas, and remedies to cure a range of ailments. I love those traditional remedies. These experiences instilled in her the understanding and inspiration that the most effective health treatments available to us come from natural and traditional sources. I am so grateful, so blessed to be able to bring Sveti Williams on the show. And I am grateful to my friend Deborah Swayze for making this connection. As always, she is always working so hard to bring fantastic guests on Dela's Voice. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure to bring to your attention my guest, the beautiful, the talented, the intelligent, um, a healer, Sveti Williams. Hello, hello. Thank you for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so honored to be here as well, to be speaking to you and to the people on the other side. So thank you.
Yeah, seriously, to the people on the other side. Well, um, you know what? So you heard a little bit about what's going on in that part of the world right now, and I know that a lot of people, Sveti, suffer from insomnia. A lot of people stay up way past their bedtime, and when you ask people why they can't sleep, they really don't have an answer.
Mm.
So this is you could say this is like a global pandemic.
It really is global pandemic, and with millions and millions of people that can't sleep, you can safely say half of the population is diagnosed with some kind of sleep disorders, and also undiagnosed. And I suspect even more than half the population, because a lot of people are undiagnosed with sleep disorders. But insomnia is so prominent these days. It is a pandemic in the world, in our modern world, really.
It sure is. So I wanted to start by asking you a question about the background to your story. How Why would you ever get interested in something like this? Was there a personal story there that kind of pushed you towards this path?
Yes, definitely. Because I never actually, um, I never thought of working with sleep or anything to do with sleep. But I think the personal journey took me there, and therefore it kind of um, it took me on this journey that the journey chose me actually. So I
That's
didn't actually go to university to study in the first place. So because I remember when my second child was first born, my sleep became such a struggle. But actually, I had struggles before, but it never interfered with my day to day life. But when you become a mom of two children, it became my personal life became a bit of a struggle. So this is why, well, I became sick and bedridden, and also I developed this autoimmune disorder. So I began to dig and to start to looking for answers, to start looking for remedies and things like that. So I began studying natural medicine because I wanted to know how can I, because you see a lot of times orthodox medicine doesn't give us the cures or the all the answers that we actually need. So I, as much as I utilized the orthodox medicine prescription from my doctors, I couldn't quite get there. So I started doing the diet. I started changing things in my own life. But eventually, I started everything. I could fix everything in my life, but I could not sleep. So because I could not sleep, I started working. What can I do to sleep better? So I studied kinesiology at the time. So by the time I came around to getting to better sleep, I developed a protocol, pulling out all of the database that I knew through kinesiology in relation to meridians in the body, acupressure points. So I put together a protocol to help myself, and because of that, it worked instantly. In the first night it worked, and at that stage I also didn't know I was going to help anyone with sleep. I started sleeping better, therefore I started talking to people, asking about their sleep. Could this help other people? So I basically just started spreading the word. Can you use this? I want to see. I was just curious, would this help other people? Because it helped me. And then as it turned out, people started coming to me. Can I try? Can I try? What can you do? Can I? And this is how it kind of became big for me. So then people started sending me things about sleep, questions about sleep, articles, books, and gifts, anything about sleep. People started coming to me. So eventually, it turned into this. People say, "Why don't you write a book?" And I thought, yeah, I need to write a book. So a few months later, I had a book published. So I was so excited. At that stage, I was already studying natural medicine at the university. And therefore, every paper that I needed to publish through university studies, it was everything related to sleep. I was arguing constantly with my lecturers to write the paper in relation to sleep. And there was not much research done at the time. So I had to dig really deep to find natural medicine in relation to solving insomnia specifically. So it was, I did studies on low magnesium levels, on different disorders and diseases in the body, and everything I could find actually related to poor sleep, or poor sleep was a factor in any of these disorders and diseases that was studied. So it just kind of came into like something big for me. That's the journey of a few years of, obviously. So that's how it started, and I just fell in love with anything to do with sleep. I've read about sleep constantly, and it just kind of became alive.
I
So
think we can tell that this is your passion. I
yes, absolutely.
I can tell that. So you mentioned kinesiology, and so if I'm not mistaken, kinesiology is the study of your body, your muscles. Correct? Could you explain that a little bit, and how really does it relate to sleep?
Yeah, so when I first started studying kinesiology, I wanted to study how can I become healthier. So at the time, I wasn't actually studying in relation to sleep, but it came to that in that study. So it depends on the style of kinesiology. I studied applied kinesiology, which does incorporate um, different aspects of a human muscular system. Um, uh, some parts of it came from the traditional Chinese medicine because there was a lot of meridians involvement and acupressure points. Also, how the brain functions in relation to the point to the muscular kind of system, and how the memory. It's just a lot of integration between the brain and the body. So this study was quite involved. So I once I graduated the first study, I wanted to go into deeper. Therefore, I went for another 2 years into the kinesiology. But I also went into natural medicine. I studied 2 studies at the same time, full time. So I kind of put it all together because I wanted to study more. So kinesiology could only take me so far, and I wanted more. So therefore, I thought there's got to be more. There's got to be more to this. So therefore, it turned into the entire like natural medicine big research for me. So kinesiology was just a part of it. But you see, when it comes to sleep, to answer your question here, how does kinesiology relate to it? It's the balance between the body, the brain, the connection that the brain can make with the body itself. A lot of times during traumatic experiences, or during stress, or during anything ever we lived through, the brain remembers. Therefore, it gives us physical symptoms in the body that we can't quite understand if we apply orthodox medicine, for example, any diagnoses or anything like that. Oftentimes, it cannot explain why we have certain diseases in the body, but through kinesiology, you can discover, because you communicate with the body directly through muscle testing, through you find disconnect that happen between the brain and the actual body, and also body systems as well. So it doesn't only relate to muscular. There's a lot of it relates to metaphysical aspects of our beings as well, because emotions come into play, past memories come into play. So it's not just a specific muscular system. It's separate organs as well, separate divisions in the body, like nervous system. A lot of things relate, even the systems that like a neurovascular points as well, that are located specifically on the head, that it just so much comes into play. And kinesiology connects everything and allows the practitioner of kinesiology, applied kinesiology, to identify where is the disconnect. There's not such a thing as we don't give any diagnosis, but we just create that connection between what actually happened and what actually is the person experiencing. What are the symptoms, where are they coming from, what emotions are involved in the specific disorders. And some symptoms a lot of times that don't make sense. So, and we don't even try to make sense of them. We're trying to create the balance, and therefore the symptoms dissipate, and we no longer suffer from certain disorders or certain discomforts and things like that. Insomnia is part of it. So, and insomnia is something that a lot of Orthodox medicine cannot understand or cannot explain why we have insomnia or even cure. It just something. There is a lot um, a lot of disbalance in the body that could happen that actually cause insomnia. And to be honest, in my research and work that I've done with people, I find insomnia is not a disorder of its own, but rather a symptom of something else that's
Yes.
going on.
Yes. Yes, that's what
Yeah.
I understood from what you said, is that it's true because so the way you explain it is because of everything that's really emotionally we're carrying with us. So it could be a trauma from the past or what is happening right now that's really emotionally bothering us. Insomnia is a symptom of that, and so a lot of times by taking, let's say, medication, sleeping medication, we're really, what we're doing is we're just putting a band-aid on a deeper wound, which is never going to heal unless we really address those issues. So this is really, really fascinating. I wanted to take a moment, Sveti, and take a look at our comments and see if people have any questions. Please ask us your questions. This is your chance to ask Sveti why you can't sleep or what you should do to sleep. I have some viewers that have left us comments here. I'm going to say their name just to say hello. I've got Frida. I've got a viewer, Tamaris. He lives in Scotland. Hello. Sharam is here. Deborah Swayze is here, and they all say hello. Stephen Albright is here and says, I was a bit of an insomniac um, prior, but after 2 strokes, did you say prior to 2 strokes? No, after 2 strokes, I have a really hard time shutting my brain down. Correct me if I read this wrong, Stephen. So after 2 strokes, I have a really hard time shutting my brain down, regularly cat naps for a few days. Then I have a day I can't keep my eyes open all day. And so I'm sure you're going to address that. Loretta, hello. Thank you for being here. She's very interested in this topic. Unfortunately, she's going to have to watch us later. Not a problem. Thanks for coming on. And let's see. There's lots of compliments to you, Sveti.
Thank you.
None to me. All to you. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
That's very
Uh,
sweet.
I'm just kidding. Let's see. Lana, she says, I'm an astrologer, and the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libras, tend to have insomnia. How interesting. Their brain whirl and they have a hard time shutting their brain down at night. Lots of electrical activity in the brain. This is really interesting. I want to hear more about that. And let me see. Okay, Deborah says Sveti is the only person to get my husband to stop having um, a bowl of cereal at night. You have to tell us that story. Okay, so um, if there's anything you want to address, please do. If something came to your mind. Otherwise, I want to ask you a question. When you're talking about sleep, what is the most important? Like, what is the one imperative thing you address? The first thing you talk about when you talk about sleep.
Yeah, so this is a very, very interesting. I can, there's not, see, When people ask me that question, I get this question a lot, but I can't really choose what's my favorite. But what I can
I thought
say,
I was original, Sveti.
yeah, but what I can say is that when it comes to sleeping, uh, you need to remember that it's not sleep that you want to learn to do. What you need to learn to do is to relax. Sleep will come because if you're not relaxed, the sleep won't come because of the all the biology in our body and psychology. They're closely related. So when it comes to winding down, the best thing you can do is create the environment at home that supports relaxation. You see, because we have nervous system in the body, and autonomic nervous system has two divisions, sympathetic and parasympathetic. You see, parasympathetic nervous system is the one that we need to bring into dominance in the evening, because that's the nervous system that will help us to relax, wind down, get those emotions under control, get that melatonin production happening, get us into that mellow state, get us into um, state that allow us to actually go to sleep. So don't, when it comes, for those who can't sleep, don't stress about sleeping itself, but more focus on what can you do to actually relax and allow your body to do the work that it needs to do. So see, I know you might, people say, yeah, but it's easy to say, but I cannot switch off my brain. I cannot switch off my body. I just start thinking too much, ruminating, overthinking. I think about all the stresses going on. And once I'm stressed, I just can't sleep. And it really is like that. Once you're stressed, it could take your body up to 6 hours to wind down from that stress. So really, environment is such a big factor when it comes to sleeping naturally without having to engage prescription medication or any kind of other methods. What other methods are there really? It's just a lot of prescription medication happens, but not a lot of people, like a lot of people don't need that. They just need to control the environment at home. And I always stress this a lot to people, to prioritize, because there are so many things that disrupt our natural production of melatonin, of our natural biology, preparation for sleep. So
Give us some examples. One, I can, if I can interject, one that comes to my mind is these darn things.
yes, absolutely. There's a lot of blue lights happening, and since the invention of light bulb, we can't wind down. Our life has changed, our patterns have changed, our circadian rhythm has shifted, and therefore we became insomniacs, really. So yes, so when it comes to blue light, it needs to be controlled. It needs to be controlled strictly. So the lights in the house, this is a part of your environment as well. So the lights in the house needs to be dimmed down, just basically eliminated, because when the blue light comes into our through our eyes, it goes straight into the optic nerve, and therefore it goes straight into our amygdala in the brain. Just it's the center of our brain, and this is when where the melatonin is produced. So it blocks it completely. So therefore, we cannot produce it. But we need to start producing melatonin an hour before our bedtime. So if you don't control that blue light exposure, you will not biologically be ready for sleep. So this is why it's a huge problem, but it's a part of the environment and a part of the routine that needs to be implemented strictly. So, but people say, well, I can't really, if I watch TV actually relaxes me rather than stimulates me. So I can't say to people, well, you got to switch off TV. It's not that strict, because I don't want to create any more stress in your life, as we are already so stressed. So creating distance between you and TV, it is a big part you can
What
do.
you mean physical distance?
Yes, absolutely. So physical distance, actually also the the shows that people watch at night need to be rather relaxed, and then it's just too stimulating for the brain. No action movies, no horror movies, because these shows will trigger sympathetic nervous system dominance, which is the adrenaline, and it's the one that gets you going. But you don't need to get going, you need to get relaxing. So therefore, the sound of TV will excite your brain if it's too loud, if it's too bright, if it's anything that is excessive. It will excite your brain, but not at the wrong time. Obviously, morning time is good for that, but nighttime is absolutely not good.
Right. And I want to add too to that, like, I mean, you don't want to be watching the news before, because the news is like a scary movie, really. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly. So anything that could create stress in your body or get you thinking is not good, because your brain doesn't need it just before bedtime.
Yeah.
It needs to wind down and forget about things.
Okay. So you're saying an hour before you're actually going to bed, start doing things to set up your environment, to set up yourself to start producing the melatonin. If that's no?
Yes. No, it needs to happen when the sun goes down, because because this is exactly what happens. People say, "Oh, I do so much before bed." They're trying to squish all of these things an hour before bed, but it's too late to start. It needs to happen when the sun goes down, when we're just about to turn the artificial lights on. So this is what I say to people: when I come home from work, or when the sun goes down, this is when you start preparation. And if you set your environment at home in a way that it supports your relaxation, you don't have to do much. You really don't have to do much. You just need to know what disrupts your sleep at home, what enhances your sleep at home. So really, you don't have to change your home too much. You just need to understand what supports your relaxation. So once you know what does support your relaxation, you then do more of those things. For example, come home, don't turn TV on, don't turn music loud on, don't have all the bright lights on in the house. Start moving slower, begin to wind down. There's so much going on already in your brain that you need to process during the day, that having more excitement just adds to your insomnia, really. So I don't want to scare people to say, you need to prepare as soon as they get home or when the lights are down, because people thinking that is a lot of work, but really it's not. The matter is just to know what really works for you, and just do those things, and do less of things that don't work for you. So yeah, just that's how it works.
So that's good. So don't create too much excitement. If you have trouble sleeping, basically that's hurting you. So you want to do some things to remedy that. So you're saying make it more calm, and maybe dim the light, not too bright lights, not loud. Don't turn on the music too loud. Maybe the things you watch on TV are very, very important. How about what you eat? Does that have okay, because the things I'm saying, these are the things that I've heard over the years, passed down to me. Okay, don't eat too late at night, because you're not gonna sleep well. Don't drink coffee. Don't drink. Some people say drink a glass of wine. Some people say don't drink alcohol. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, so these are all the right things you heard. You see, the rules are. I call this food etiquette, right? Really. So basically, when it comes to eating at night, yes, do not eat late and do not eat big dinner. And do not eat sugar. You see, you gotta understand the stimulants. Stimulants are coffee, caffeine, sugar, and chocolate that it has caffeine, anything that has sugar and caffeine, there's stimulant. So wine is a stimulant, nicotine is stimulant as well. I mean, not just wine, it's alcohol in general. So avoiding these things. So I usually say do not have dessert after dinner, because dessert is gonna add sugar and it's gonna ferment your dinner. And when the process of fermentation happens in your body, your digestive system is not functioning how it needs to function before bedtime. So you going to ferment, and because of that, you're gonna create gut issues like flatulence or cramping and things like that. So you need to avoid things that could stimulate your digestive system, but also the spike of in insulin. So you see, recent studies show that there's a lot of diseases actually relate to high insulin in the body. But you see, when we don't sleep at night, our insulin goes up, and therefore they see you creating that kind of a vicious cycle that you have high insulin, that you can't sleep, and because you can't sleep, your insulin is high. So diet is a very big factor when it comes to sleeping. When we're young, we might not notice it as much, but as we get older, as the body changes, we become more sensitive. But also, when we don't sleep well, we become even just one night of lost sleep, we can be classed as pre-diabetic. Therefore, our insulin is very high, and because it's high, our blood pressure is high. So when our blood pressure is high, we begin to form heart disease, cardiovascular diseases. So it's just a lot of correlation there between sleep and all of these modern age diseases that we never had in 19th century. But now it's it's a pandemic, and heart disease is the leading factor of death these days, right? So we need to be very careful with food and what we eat, and in amount of food that we eat before bed. I generally advise people to have moderate amount of protein, not too much, especially animal protein, not too much, because you overload yourself with, and it's very hard for us to digest that all night long. We don't need to be digesting food at night. We need to be sleeping and relaxing. So, and spike in insulin plays a major role in our general health as much as in sleep health as well. So, especially eating sugar, it's just a not great thing. But also, there are foods that naturally contain melatonin. So instead of
Ooh,
taking melatonin
let's talk about
supplementation,
that. Thank you,
it's
Sveti, because there was actually a comment from someone about taking melatonin to help sleep. So let's talk about that. Can
yes.
give us some things we can eat to get that natural melatonin intake?
Yes. So instead of having to take synthetic form of melatonin is very important hormone in our body, and we need it. We need it for every day. We need it. It's non-negotiable hormone to have. So, and we naturally can produce melatonin without any problems. However, when life gets out of control and the health is not there anymore, sleep is not there, we're not producing enough melatonin, or not producing at all melatonin. So, and therefore people turn to supplementation. I mean, I understand it's very very popular these days, but just remember, once you start taking melatonin, you're putting yourself onto hormone therapy. This is what you don't want to do, simply because it's hormone therapy, and that's a pretty huge thing. You don't want to play with hormones in your body. Let your body do its own work. So it's anything that you're taking in synthetic has its own, you got to pay a price for it. So instead of having to rely on synthetic form or any kind of synthetic medication, you need to supplement with food contain melatonin. Food can actually boost our natural production of melatonin. Again, also focus on your allowing your body to produce natural melatonin, but also you can take on top of that, take foods that produce melatonin, that contain melatonin, like cherries. What else is there? Passion fruit, even cucumbers. There is
Ooh.
a whole list of foods, nuts. There's a huge list of foods. You can go to my website sleepacademy.online and download the entire list of foods containing melatonin. There's vegan foods, there's non-vegan foods that contain melatonin, but also the focus should be also on foods that contain tryptophan, such as nuts and some certain foods as well that contain tryptophan, which is a protein. So tryptophan plays a role in production of serotonin, and therefore the serotonin will be the precursor for melatonin. So it's a chain reaction. So if you give your body enough nutrition, your body will give you what it needs naturally without having to supplement with synthetic form of any hormone, really. So it's the diet
It's
is
saying we are what we eat. It's just
we are what we eat. Yes, yes, yes.
so I want to display your website for everybody. So it's sleepacademy.online, correct?
Yes,
Okay. So the list of foods are there on your website, so people can
yes,
have a look and partake of that information. So one other thing that I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you're done with the melatonin discourse, but it's this whole idea about exercise. Now, so many people say, don't exercise too close to sleep. And so I want to know if that's something we just believe. Is that a myth, or is there truth to that? Does that excite us? Does that prevent us from sleeping? Uh,
yes.
yeah,
So,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. Yes, yes. So yes, exercise. It's a huge thing. I mean, do exercise, please do. So a lot of people, you see, it goes again by your type of the your body structure. So there's multiple studies done on exercise and sleep, and so what was revealed is that when you exercise too close to bedtime, you basically excite yourself too much, and therefore you have a hard time winding down. So exercise is fantastic, but if you exercise too close to bedtime, you actually delaying your sleep time. But another key is, you see, if you do exercise in the evening, a lot of people go to work and they have only time, like a short window to exercise after work. Uh, don't let it stop you from exercising, but when you get home, an hour before bed, have a hot shower or hot bath. So what it will do, it will put you into the parasympathetic nervous system dominance, where your body will naturally begin to feel mellow. And therefore, as you hop out of the hot shower into a cooler room, make sure your room is cool so you're not too hot. If you're too hot, you will also get into that fight or flight response. So when you get into cooler room, your body instantly will begin producing melatonin. So this is that you basically have this controlled environment where you're basically dictating the next step for your body to start to begin producing. Because if the body is overexcited, it will take longer to wind down. But because of you doing all these things to relax, you will facilitate that relaxation sooner and more sufficiently as well. So but you see, go into find your dosha type. It's also in my book. I
What is
created
that?
this dosha type. It's this is you find you're implementing ancient Indian philosophy such as Ayurveda. So if you type your dosha type, you will come across questionnaire to determine what is your dosha type, and there's only 3 there. So once you determine your dosha type, you can then start researching what's the time for exercise for this particular dosha type. So, for example, my dosha type is Vata. I can exercise before bedtime and I will not get too excited. I can just wind down. But other dosha types, this is a fine line for them to rather exercise a little bit earlier in the day than too late, or even an hour before bed. It might be a bit too much. too much for sleeping, because they might have harder time to wind down after exercise, or even, but I'm talking about vigorous exercise. You see,
Yes.
if you do yoga, it's okay. If
Mhm.
you don't do vigorous exercise, you're okay.
Mhm. So this to find out your dosha type, is that something on your website as well? People can
It's
access
in my
that.
book, Fix My Sleep. There's extensive questionnaire that people can take to, because sometimes some questionnaire can lead you into basically into 2 different dosha types. So you really need to take extensive questionnaire to actually get you there specifically to your correct dosha type, because you don't want to be in between, because then you can choose the wrong one for yourself and you follow that, and that's actually not what you need. So uh, in my book, I dedicate a whole chapter to this, and it's the last chapter in the book. So once you identify your dosha type, you can then do your own research. What is the right things for yourself? How to wind down. There's a lot on the internet as well.
So I'm gonna type your the name of your book so that people can go and get it
It's
on
also on
Amazon.
the website. There's a link
Also,
to
okay.
Amazon store. Yes.
All right, perfect. So here's the name of Sveti's book, Fix My Sleep. And it's on, you can get that on Sleep Academy on .online. There was a question that I want to address, and this is a question from Hamid, and he's asking why do I wake up in the middle of the night?
Oh yes, okay. I love this question. So, a lot of people stress that, oh, I wake up in the middle of the night, I can't sleep. So, the important thing to remember firstly is when we sleep in increments. So it's like we sleep in cycles, and we go through about 4 or 5 cycles per night. And in between each cycle, we naturally wake up. It's a natural a progression of our night. So it goes like that. Sleep is never basically linear. It's like that. It's a roller coaster, natural roller coaster. So when we sleep, we go through ups and downs, and then we come to periods of brief waking. But in a healthy sleep, we will not be fully conscious to actually wake up and remember that we've been awake and get up and do things, or even feel thirsty or needed to go to the bathroom. But healthy sleep progression is you wake up and you go straight back to sleep, to light sleep, and so on. So when you do wake up at night, you are in between 2 cycles. First, you remember this. That's a normal thing to wake up at night. However, a lot of people suffer because they can't go back to sleep. And that's the thing that bothers people the most. Again, it comes to what I like to do. Again, it's in the book. Find, for example, let's say, for example, you wake up between 1 and 3 a.m. or 3 to 5 a.m. Again, look at what meridian it relates to in traditional Chinese medicine. It could be liver meridian. If so, find which points relate to liver meridians, like acupressure points, and stimulate those points. And or trace that meridian, or do both. It's also in the book. I put the whole method there,
So
covering
like give
every hour.
yourself a massage kind of in that area you're saying, right? So
Yes,
wherever your
yes.
meridians are. Okay.
Yes, find that point and stimulate. For example, there's points here, there are points here, there are points all over the body. So you can find which point relates. But in the book, there's a shortcut to it. So I cover every hour of the night and the meridians and the points that relate to it. But you can find this on the internet as well. Find, say, you wake up between specific hour of the day and night. Let's have a look. I've got my book here. So what time? Let's have an example, because he didn't mention the times that he
You
wakes up.
didn't mention the time. Let's say 3 o'clock.
Yes, 3 o'clock. So when it comes to 3 o'clock, you are in. So if you woke up just before 3 a.m., you are in the liver meridian, and if you wake up just after 3, between 3 and 5, it's a lung meridian. So really, if you understand natural medicine and how this works, it it's basically creating the balance in between the body and the brain. And once that balance is reestablished, there will not be disconnect. There will not be waking during the night during that time. You will not be unable to go to sleep. You will not be waking before your desired time in the morning. So this
So
is just
he says 4 a.m. So
for,
that's
yes,
the liver, right? You said, so how would you help yourself fall back to sleep if
4
that's
a.m. Yeah, it's a lung meridian,
how long
and
you said?
yeah, so you can. So the question is, how do you? I'll give you one point that he can use. Hold on, let me
Okay.
just look, because I'm looking at my book and I've got in
Oh, great. I mean,
tonic coffee.
listen.
Yeah, the lung meridian. So there's a point on top of your head. You can just hold it like this before bedtime. Hold it there for a few minutes, even just a minute. But don't put too much pressure. Just as if you're holding a little baby, very gently. So that point will recreate that connection. But it's just one of the points. You see, there's so many that
Mhm.
sometimes you need to do more. For example, when I put the entire protocol, it took me 10-15 minutes and per night to rub all the points, trace meridians, hold the points on my head. There's different ones. So if you start doing these things for your sleep will come. It will come, but you just have to reestablish the balance in the body. Um, Teach your body to relax. That's what it's this very crucial component.
It's so interesting how you're putting all these points together, and it all makes sense. So uh, let me ask you this: what is the best time, like the ultimate best time, the ideal time to go to bed and to wake up?
Yes. So 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. is the best time. When you look into ancient philosophies, even the Ayurveda, 10 p.m. has been practiced for many centuries. 10 p.m. is the best time to go to sleep, but also biologically for us, it's good time to go to sleep. Our body is ready for sleep. Don't go to sleep later than 10. This is the ideal time when you can go to sleep naturally. It's not too early, it's not too late. It's just perfect. But if you are one of those people who likes to go to bed early, then earlier is fine, just not later than 10. See what happens to our body when we go to bed at the time when our body is not ready. Let's say later than 10 p.m. Let's say our body is ready to go to bed 10 p.m. and you're not going to bed at 10 p.m. Your body gets confused, firstly. Secondly, because it's confused, it's not sleeping. It begins to think in the way that, why am I not sleeping? There's something going on. I need to prepare for danger. Therefore, it begins to kick in that cortisol levels. It begins
Right.
to
Yeah.
prepare you for danger. This is when people get second wind. They just can't sleep anymore. They feel a lot of energy. They energize. They're like, oh yeah, watch another movie. I'll do this and this. They begin to do more instead of doing less. They begin to do more. So if you push yourself beyond your biological, your circadian rhythm, this is what your body gonna do. You will confuse it. As much as our body is so intelligent, you will confuse it with the bad habits, and this is a bad habit to go to bed late. So an ideal time for us to wake up is early. So let's say after all of this studies done, long story short, the best duration of our sleep for us to have healthy sleep is approximately 8 hours, between 7.5 to 8 hours, or 8.5, depends on the person. Females tend to need more sleep than males. So let's say 8 hours. So if you go backwards from that time, or let's say forward from 10 p.m., so you basically wake up at 6 a.m. is a good time. It's a good time to wake up 6:30. You're giving yourself enough time in the morning to get ready for work. You give yourself enough time in the morning to feel awake, do things. You don't have to rush and not get into that stress and like stress dominance where in that stressful situation where the whole day just goes stressful, and then you come home frustrated and you can't sleep. So really, when it comes to preparing for sleep, start in the morning.
Yeah, so good. Um, uh, this is really great. So I do have another question, and oh my goodness, I missed it. It was here. Yikes. Oh, yes. Okay. The question about people who do shift work. So, they're awake at night. During the day, they have to sleep. And then, so they're up for four. So their shifts are nighttime for the 4 days. And then they switch back to days. I know a lot of people who have to work that way, a lot of people who work at hospitals and or police officers. A lot of people do shift work. So, what do you have based on their lifestyle, which they have to work with? What's the best advice you can give them?
Yes. Okay. So I love this topic because I used to do work shifts in hospitals and night shifts, day shifts. It was all over the place. So this is what when I did night shifts, this is what I used to do. I controlled my habits to the best of my ability. Basically, I would wear blue light blocking glasses all night long because that exposure of blue light, screens, fluorescent lights, and things like that plays a major role in your ability to relax after work. So I would wear blue light blocking glasses all night long without a fail. And like these ones, you see, they have blue light and they look just like your normal glasses, prescription glasses. These are not prescription. These are blue light blocking glasses, and you need to find a source that actually, well, they're not going to block. They're going to filter blue light. So the ones that can filter the most blue light possible. That was my number one routine that I would do. Another thing is I would never drink coffee or anything that stimulate me. I would suffer through the night. I can say that I would suffer more than others because I know my colleagues used to drink coffee. And I understand you need it because you need to stay awake. But I worked really hard to stay awake without having to have a coffee. Then I also never used to eat sugar. Let's say my colleagues used to go to vending machines, and they would get chocolates and chips and things like that. I would sustain from doing that because I know it was going to stimulate my body. Junk food is going to raise my insulin levels, right? So I would be very careful with what I eat during the night. So I would bring a bunch of kale to hospital and I would eat that. Yes, I would bring salad leaves and eat that. I would bring let's say my usual dinner, I would bring that and eat in the middle of the night. So it would contain healthy proteins, healthy, just basically salads and things like that. So I would sustain from any kind of junk food, any sugary foods. And you see, you can only do so much because you cannot replace sleep with any good habits at all. However, if you do have good habits during the night that you have to work, you make it easier for your body. At least your body doesn't have to suffer from bad habits that you do during the night. For example, bad junk food, coffee. Your body has to process all that, so you're giving your body less stress, less things to bother the body with. So at least only one thing your body needs to get through is not sleeping. So when you get home, I remember my colleagues would say, I would take 3 hours to wind down before I can go to sleep in the morning. And I would come home and go straight to sleep. I would take my blue light blocking glasses when I'm having a shower. I have a hot shower. And then I would move very slowly. So I would still induce my relaxation. I'll get home, I keep my glasses on, keep the lights down, have hot shower, very hot shower, so it's very steamy. So I raise my body temperature also artificially. And then I would just go into cooler room and I would put my eye mask on. I would block the lights, put my earplugs in. I would just block any senses that
Yes.
there are. So I would make sure I get that good night's sleep before I have to work again that night.
Mhm.
So doing these things can support your body with less stress. But ideally, of course, night shifts are not the best. And I really feel for those people who have to work night shifts. I've done it, and it's not good for your body. And you see, I know so much about sleep. That working all night, I constantly have this plan in my head. This is what's going to my body. I know what's happening to my body right now. I can feel the effects of no sleep. And
Yes.
it was just rehearsed, and
Yeah.
it was just not the best mental state to be in. And this is when it comes. Ignorance is bliss in some situations when you don't have to stress that I'm not sleeping. I know exactly what's biologically happening in my body, but at least you can support your body with good habits.
Yes, and you're right. And so you kind of control what you can and do your best there, and that's really really important. Um, wow, an hour past, like, I mean, an hour has gone by so quickly, and I mean, we can keep talking about this because this subject is so interesting. I love the science behind this, Sveti, and it all makes sense, and it all goes hand in hand with everything you've talked about. There's one more thing that I wanted to ask you, and something that I mean, I personally believe in journaling and gratitude, especially gratitude journaling. And I always, I want to take your your input on this. How does it affect? Can it affect getting a good night's sleep?
It absolutely can. I love gratitude practices. I listen to meditation every single day without fail. This is my thing that I never ever fail to do. So when we practice gratitude, we practice compassion. We become firstly it relaxes us. It brings us, it centers us, it grounds us, it brings us to our heart where we feel gratitude. We cannot be angry and grateful at the same time. We can be grateful and therefore the moment you become grateful, you practice gratitude, your biology begins to change in your body. So your hormones that induce relaxation begin to flow. Every like you begin to produce dopamine, you begin to produce those hormones that support your well-being and relaxation, really. So it's a self-compassion as well as gratitude to others. You can be grateful to yourself, you can be grateful to others, you can be grateful to God and any higher powers that you worship. Gratitude is such an important part of our daily life. It needs to be really practiced, and this is another thing I teach during my courses. I teach gratitude. I have recorded a video or audio gratitude meditation. So it really is an amazing practice that everybody should do more. And imagine if everyone was grateful, there would be no stress, there would be no war.
Yeah.
Really. So yeah, I
Uh,
really support this.
it's so you're so right. And is there that is that available on your website as well? That
Um, I'm not
gratitude audio.
sure. I'm not sure, but what I can do, I can send it to you as a link, and you can share with your audience
Oh,
the
wonderful.
gratitude. Yes, the gratitude practice. So I would, everybody should do this. It's beautiful practice, really.
Listen, people, this is from a sleep scientist. If she's saying gratitude attitude helps you sleep, you want to try this. I always talk about this because it's such an important part of my life. Uh, and I wanted to ask you, if someone wants to work with you, what does that entail? So, who would usually call you for help?
Yeah, so usually I get a lot of people come to me who are either don't want to get on medication or they had medication that just didn't work for them, or people just want to implement natural methods to sleep. So they just want to enhance their life with better sleep and they don't want to go for any synthetic kind of supplementation or even prescription medication, these are the people that reach out to me. Sveti, how do you sleep naturally? What do you do? What can you do? So I get a lot of people with those desires to get better sleep. Yeah.
Okay. So they would just contact you on your website, and then you would reach out and you'd make all the arrangements with them,
Yes,
correct?
exactly. But I also have I have an app. You can download a free app, Sleep Academy app on Google Store and Apple Store.
That's
So that
amazing.
yes, thank you. So I have two different programs. People who want to become certified sleep coaches, who want to help others to sleep better, and where I pass on my knowledge and create a program for them to help others. But also another program to help people with insomnia who actually can't sleep, so they can have a subscription there for insomnia. But also there's another free program online on the app called it's called Crystals for Insomnia and Nightmares. So the people can download the app and get into this free program. So because a lot of, you know how you said to mention to me astrology, your astrologer said that people specific star signs, which are air star signs, they can implement crystals because there's a lot of that going on. The air signs are naturally very volatile and being in the air all the time, so they need that grounding, so they can implement the crystals for sleep. And it's just, you can begin there, you know, you can start using the crystals and things like that. So
Oh,
this,
amazing. This
yeah,
is so cool. Okay. So so there's a free app. Go look for it on Google Play or
Apple Store, yeah,
Apple Store. And that one was called
Sleep Academy.
Sleep
So on
Academy.
Apple Store it's called Sleep Academy Online, and then Google Store is just called Sleep Academy.
Okay. And you said it's a free app.
Yes, it's
That
a
one.
free.
Amazing. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Sveti, you have given us so many gifts today. And I want to thank you so much. I am so grateful that
Thank
you
you.
gave us your time today and shared your knowledge with us. I can imagine how many people you have helped with your tools and your knowledge. I mean, sleep is such an important part of our wellness. And so if you can't sleep, it really affects everything. And it's worth it to investigate and to invest a little bit of time and effort to learn what it is that keeps you up, and all these natural way that Sveti mentioned that you can help yourself get better sleep. And the less medication we need, the better for us. We don't really need to put medication in our body for if we can help it. I want to say if we can help it. Um,
Absolutely. I want to thank you, everybody who took the time to watch this and learn something. I'm always there to, if you have questions and if you want to learn more, I'm happy to share my knowledge. So thank you for taking time to watch this.
so I want to mention some of the names, and there's so many comments. And Robert is here. Thank you so much for being here, Lana, Ricky, Deborah. I want to make sure I say all the names because they've all left plenty of messages here for us. I haven't missed anybody else, and I said hello to the other people before. And yeah, so I've got them all from get-go. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I want to give you a couple more minutes to leave us with whatever words you want to leave us with.
Okay, so when it comes to sleep, remember, don't go straight to prescription medication. Go a natural way and try and see what you can change, see what you can learn from it, see what you can give your body without having to rely on anything that your body doesn't need. So it's very important. So change your habits at home, change a little bit of your environment here and there, so you can allow your body to relax. So remember, you're not learning to sleep, you're learning to relax. And once you're relaxed, your body will sleep, because that's such a natural process for us to go to sleep. And so, yeah, it's just don't create obstacles to your relaxation. Create supportive environment.
I love that. I love that because we do like we hear that a lot. I can't sleep. So it's not that you can't sleep. It's just that you cannot relax.
Yes, you're just not ready for sleep yet. You
Mhm.
just
And so changing that wording, right? Even changing the wording, I can't sleep. It's so hopeless. But saying I can't relax, well, then let me see how I can relax because that I can do.
exactly. Yes, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sveti. Amazing information here today. I really, 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 once again, appreciate you being here so much. And everyone who's joined us tonight, thank you very much for spending the hour with us. I hope that you took something from this show today that will help you benefit and help you live a healthier lifestyle. And once again, I want to thank Deborah for bringing this amazing guest to our show today. Thank you, Sveti, all the way from Australia, for joining us today.
Thank you. Much love to you.
Bye bye. And for everyone who's joined us, I hope you have a great night. And until another Della's Voice, have a blessed life, everybody. And happy Thanksgiving to my Canadian viewers again. And we will see you next time. This has been Della's Voice, hoping to spark your soul. Take care.